Spotlight is a production of CTNY, the Catholic Television Network of Youngstown. It seeks to spotlight people, places, and events from around the Diocese of Youngstown that promote the new gospel of joy called for by Pope Francis. Your program host is Father James Corda.
Hello and welcome to Spotlight. I'm Father Jim Corda. Joining me today is Suhair Musleh, who is going to talk about the Holy Land and Palestine, and also about beautiful hand-carved olive wood decorations, for example, the crucifix and rosary, and many other religious items. Suhair, it's such a pleasure to have you on the show today.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. First of all, we know you were born in Bethlehem. Tell us about your background and tell us a little bit about Bethlehem.
Well, I was born in Bethlehem and got married. I have 2 boys and 1 girl, and my husband and the kids and I, we moved to United States in 2003, and we started selling all the religious article at the Catholic churches, and he passed away in 2005, but my kids and I, we continue this mission because we are helping the Christian people. When we sell all the religious article at the churches, we help the Christian people in Bethlehem to keep working and making a beautiful statues and crosses.
We're going to talk a little bit more about that particular part of your life and ministry, but let's talk a little bit more about Bethlehem. I had the pleasure of being there several times, first in 1997 and then again in 2010. And of course, very familiar to pilgrims who visit Bethlehem is the Church of the Nativity. Tell us about your experience about the Church of the Nativity. What do you like most about it?
It's just a feeling when you go pray there and you know that's the place where Jesus was born, and all the history, it's different feeling. It just gives you that feeling that you are in the same place where Jesus was born.
You know, and that I think is probably the most significant thing and special thing about visiting the Holy Land, is to know that that's the place where Jesus walked, and that's the place where he lived. And having had the opportunity myself personally to go up to the Galilee and to visit Nazareth, but in particular Bethlehem, the place where he was born. And I know for us as Catholics, that's extremely important, the place of his birth, but also outside and very close was the place of his death in Golgotha, outside the city gates of Jerusalem. Let's go back to Bethlehem and the Church of the Nativity. One thing I remember for sure is, if you recall, the entranceway into the Church of the Nativity is a very small, low door. Yes. Do you remember why the significance of such a small door?
Yes, because when Jesus was born, they make it that small because they don't want the other people to come and go with their animals. And for those days, when you go there and when you bend to go inside, you respect the place where Jesus was born.
There's almost that sense of entering the church that houses where he was born on your knees.
Yes.
You walk in on your knees to the place. So even your stature is in obeyance to him as the Savior in that.
Exactly.
Let's talk about the whole country of Palestine. When I talk about the Holy Land, oftentimes I use the word Palestine. Tell us significant and historical background about Palestine. Why you use the word Palestine. Is it because it's just geographically designated a place for Christians?
It's not just like when you say Palestine, there are Christian people and there are Muslim people, but not the Jewish. The Jewish will be in Israel. So Palestine for the Christian and the Muslim. So
Let's talk briefly about relationships between Christian and Muslim. At least my experience when I was there was a mutual respect. There was a sense of getting along. Has been your experience?
yes, but I think it changed. And actually, the Christian people in Palestine, like they are between the Jewish and the Muslim. Like they don't like the Christian people. And the thing is, like every time I said, oh, I'm from Palestine, I'm Palestinian, they think that I'm a Muslim. They forgot that there is a Christian people there. Jesus was born there, so we have a big number of Christian people, Catholic, Greek Orthodox, like different, but they are Christian.
And I think it's significant to understand that in the land of Israel and in the land of Palestine, that even though it's a small percentage, that Christians still live within those boundaries, and that's where our faith was born, was in Palestine.
Yes.
Let's talk about some of the wonderful things that you make, and that the people of Palestine, in particular in Bethlehem, make. We're going to talk about that briefly. We're going to take a break, but then we'll come back and talk a little bit more about that. Let's talk about this crucifix, for example, that you brought. What's significant about it?
Well, this is, of course, olive wood, and it's handmade, and it does have the soil and the stone from the Holy Land, and the leaves from the olive tree, and this is the frankincense. And when you see the grain like this dark, that's mean it's from alder tree.
Okay. The one thing that we had talked about prior to the taping was I was asking the process of taking wood from the tree. Sometimes people get a sense that a tree is cut down.
Oh no!
And it's not. Tell us
No.
briefly about that.
Actually, they when they trim the tree, they took all these branch and they have to put it outside to get it dry, and sometimes need a couple months. So when it's dry, they will take the bark, and that's when they carve and they do the nativities, crosses, statues, and everything.
Okay. And I think that's ecologically a good thing to do instead of cutting a tree down.
Yes.
Yeah, very
Yeah,
good.
they don't cut the tree; they trim it.
We're going to talk a little bit more about that, but we're going to take a quick break. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Light Moments. Here's Father Tom McSweeney.
The popularity of self-help books suggests that many people want to improve themselves. According to psychiatrist Martin Groter, true change is difficult because it requires us to work hard at what is unfamiliar and uncomfortable. Dr. Broder offers the following suggestions. First, examine the behavior you want to change, analyze the obstacles, and devise a specific plan to overcome them. Second, don't make your resolutions too ambitious. Next, decide if you need assistance. Consider a self-help group or turn to your friends for support. And then give yourself regular reviews and learn from them. And finally, congratulate yourself for making the effort to improve. Change may not be easy, but the results are worth all the hard work.
This message from the Christophers.
Hi, I'm Mark Quinn. As I grew up on the south side of Chicago, the Dominican Sisters of Springfield not only taught me, but formed me in my Catholic faith. The sisters worked for very, very little. Now as they've gotten older, they have no savings to fall back on. And we benefited from their sacrifice. And I think it's time that we recognize that much of what we are today, we are because of what sisters did for us. It's our turn to help them out in their hour of need. They don't ask for a lot. They embrace the simple life. I owe them so much. That's why I make an annual donation to the Retirement Fund for Religious. Do you remember the religious men and women who shaped your life? Say thank you to them by donating to the Retirement Fund for Religious at your local parish. Join me. Share in the care.
Welcome back to Spotlight. I'm talking with Suhair Musleh, and we're talking primarily about the Holy Land in Palestine. She brought this beautiful crucifix for us to look at, but that's just one of the items that she sells through the Holy Land Gifts. Suhair, tell us about some of the other items that you sell to help and to benefit the people of Bethlehem.
We have all kind of figurines, like we have a big statue of Blessed Mary, and it's really like really big, and it's one piece of wood. They try to make all the statues from one piece of wood. They don't use the glue, and they try to use the olive tree because of the nice grain on the olive tree. And now we have all kind of statues of Jesus, and we have the Last Supper, we have a rosary, and actually, like this olive wood rosary, there is a soil from the Holy Land inside it.
I do know also that you have nativity sets.
Yes.
And those are probably the most popular. Why are those the most popular?
Some of them, they have a music box, and they have like the silent song, or we wish you a Merry Christmas. And the nice thing about them, like the figurines, you can move them. So when it's a Christmas, you can take baby Jesus away, put him back, and you can take the kings, put them back. Like this way, actually, even the kids, they know like why we are celebrating Christmas. It's because of Jesus' birth. Jesus was born on Christmas. That's why we are celebrating Christmas, because I met a lot of people and they have no clue why we are celebrating Christmas. They think it's all about Santa, it's all about gifts, it's all about shopping. And that's really sad.
It is. And, and I would venture to say that most Christian and most Catholic families own a nativity set. And it's just a reminder for us, in the same way that a crucifix is a reminder to us of the Lenten season and the Easter season, that Jesus, through his death and rising, gave us life and salvation. And so how important when we see these things, these items, they are reminders to us of particular events in the life of Jesus and holy people like Mary that you had mentioned. I'd like to go back to the different things that are inside this cross here, and I'd like us to talk briefly about each of those. On the top here are the leaves of the olive trees. Why would that be significant to put the leaves within the crucifix itself?
Well, so to show that this wood is from the olive tree, and this is actually the leaves from the same tree that they took this piece from.
And then the stones from the Church of the Nativity.
It's actually from the Holy Land.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like from the Holy Land. Same with the soil, they are from the Holy Land.
Okay.
Like this is the soil actually from the Holy Land where Jesus walked, and the same with the stone. And frankincense, that's one of the gifts that the three kings bought when Jesus was born.
Before our show, we were talking about the soil from the Holy Land, and I had mentioned the church in Rome called Santa Croce in Jerusalem, and how St. Helen, the mother of Constantine, built this church in Rome to house the many relics that she brought back, including parts of the true cross and the nails and the thorns. But then she brought back a lot of soil and put it inside the church. And so as you go into the lower part of the basilica, there's a glass kind of like window, and you look through it and you can see the soil and some of the rocks. And the one thing that I was amazed at being in the Holy Land was the number of rocks that were there.
Yes.
It's almost like when we think of countryside, we think of rolling hills and nice manicured lawns, but it's very rocky and very hilly. Tell us a little bit about the geography of the Holy Land.
Yeah, it's more like mountains and hill. We don't have grass because actually it's a hot weather there, so they cannot grow the grass there. So that's why all of it is dry or soil. And they built all the houses, everything from the big rock. They don't build it from wood because it gets too hot in there.
I'd like to talk back again about the olive wood itself. When I was in the Holy Land, I was amazed at the number of olive trees that were there. And so that's something that's all over the Holy Land, the olive trees. And that's not only used for obviously the wood items, but the olives themselves.
Yes.
You know, what's your experience of the olives in the Holy Land?
Well, every family in the Holy Land, they have in their backyard a couple olive trees. And actually, we usually, like on July, the school will close for like a week. So every family will get together and they collect all the olive. Then, you know, the woman will wash the olive and make it ready to be ready for the winter to eat it, because it's you cannot eat it in October. You have to wait at least a couple months. And the black olive, some of it will take it to a special place and they make it oil. So the same with the oil. You cannot like use the oil for a couple months. So we use the olive tree, we use the olive, we make the oil, you know, the olive oil. That's the best thing for your health. And also they use, when they trim the tree, they use the wood. So they use everything. It's a holy tree, like since Jesus was there. And actually we still have couple trees since Jesus was there.
The other thing that we had talked about prior to the taping was, I recalled in the Garden of Gethsemane in the Holy Land, the olive trees that were there, and you could actually tell by looking at them how old they were.
Yes.
They were very old, and to be in such a space and to see things where Jesus may have touched or knelt near or prayed to God near. It brings you kind of in contact
Yes.
with him in a real personal way. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in a moment, but we're going to take a quick break. So please stay with us. We'll be right back.
What have you done for your marriage today?
I gave my wife a hug this morning. I told her I love her.
Instead of sitting on the couch, I hope to clean up.
I cooked my husband's favorite breakfast.
I sent my husband a love email.
What have I done for my marriage today? It's a good question.
I gave her a call and say, thinking of her. And the kids.
I did her hair this morning. I think it looks pretty good.
We're going to the museums as a family.
What have I done for my marriage today?
I made my wife coffee and breakfast this morning.
It's going to be her birthday next week, so I've been spending time today making arrangements to make that extra special.
Oh, we're spending the day together?
I bought her an orchid.
Hassan was able to let me sleep in by taking care of him in the morning.
I read the newspaper to my wife, and it cracked her up. She's still laughing.
What have you done for your marriage today? Small changes can make a world of difference. Get started at foryourmarriage.org, a message from the Catholic Church.
There is a place where a total stranger will give you their blood. There is a place where someone you never knew will save your child from drowning. A place where people from 7 states away will turn up at your door and give you food and shelter after a flood. There's a place where a person who doesn't look like you, talk like you, or dress like you will stretch out their hand and put it across your shoulders and say, everything is going to be okay. That place is called America, where we look out for each other, and it's up to us to keep it that way. When you help the American Red Cross, you help America.
Welcome back to our show. I'm talking with Suher Musle, and she has the Holy Land gifts. And we're going to talk now in our final segment about how you go to different parishes in our diocese bringing these wonderful items, carved olive wood for sale. How do they do that? How do people get in touch with you to go to their parish or to their function to bring these beautiful items?
Well, actually, first I have to ask for permission from the diocese, and when I get the permission, I start calling all the Catholic churches, and between me and the pastor, we'll decide which weekend is good for him and me. And when I go there, I will set up all the olive wood like on the tables, and I have also my business card, and I try to explain to them about the olive wood, about the Christian people, and since I'm certified with the Fair Trade, that helped me actually a lot. So I make sure that whoever ship for me, they are like a fair trade in the Holy Land, and they ship it to me. So this way we make sure that the Christian people who carve the olive wood, they can have a better life than before.
Is that primarily what the whole fair trade is about, kind of giving back to the people that provide these items?
Yes.
Okay. Do you ever, and I would imagine you do when you go back to visit your home country, that you meet these people who actually have created these things? Tell me about some of those experiences that you've had.
Actually, I know all of them because it's a small town, and we all know each other. And it's a tradition. Like everyone has to know how to carve, how to work with it. Even women, even if you are a doctor, you have to know about the olive wood and how to make even simple things, the rosary or the crosses. But some of them, they are like a good artist. They know, like if you look at the faces, the details on the faces or any piece, you can tell like they are really, good people, good artisan, how to do this, the carving. And some of them, if they don't have even a picture. When they do all the details, they don't have a picture. Like if you watch them carving the faces and the details, they are working like they are drawing a nice picture. They are having fun. They are enjoying what they are doing. Yeah, they have no pictures. So that's why every piece is different than the other, between the grain and the details on the faces. That's the nice thing about it's handmade. It's not like a factory. The most of them, they have their own like simple tools in their garage. It's not like a big factory. That's what make it different.
And I think that's really the beauty of items like this, is that they're not only creating something beautiful, but it's almost like it's part of them.
Yes.
It's their own part of their life that they're really giving. And I'm amazed when I look at some of the items, how intricate some of it is, and the fine details that they have. And even something as simple as a bead on a rosary, how tiny they are, and how it's all with people's hands. And what significance is that for us to use the talents and the hands that God has given us for His honor and glory? How important is that? That's obviously important to you?
Yes, of course, it's important for everyone.
In your experience, when you've been back to Bethlehem, what do people ask you that have never left there about your living here in the United States? Is there something that they ask about or that they're curious about?
Yeah, of course. It's totally a different culture. It's different. So they keep asking, how, because in the Holy Land we have more social life. It's more, they have more time for each other. You have more time to have dinner with your family every day. Here it's a little bit harder to do that with the kids going to school, but there it's I like the social life we used to have there.
Yeah. And I think that whole sense of family is important.
Yes.
And how oftentimes we kind of miss that. And I think as our kids get older and move away, there's less a sense of a family.
Yes.
But when they're around, when they're younger, how important it is to create that family atmosphere for them to live within and nurture, and then hopefully as they get older, they create that family environment for their own children. You know. What are some of the things that you would like to tell the folks that are with us about the items that you sell and the significance of them and how they actually help the people back in Bethlehem?
Well, first of all, it's nice to have a cross or any of the good item, to have it from the Holy Land, and it's handmade, and it's nice for every Christian to have a cross or a nativity, and in the same time, like when you buy any of these items, you are helping the people there. So not just you have something from the Holy Land, you are helping the Christian people there.
And I think that's really significant, because I know in my visits there, the Christian population is a small minority,
Yes.
small group of people. And we would like to continue to have a presence within the land that we call holy because of our Lord's presence there and birth there, and how important it is, and to have something that actually came from there and from the heart of those who are believers like we are, how important that is for them and also for us. What is in closing, what is the most joyful thing and wonderful thing in your experience that you've had doing this?
Well, I love doing this because I'm really helping my people there, and at the same time it gives me the opportunity to talk to different people every weekend. And especially like around the Christmas, I rent a kiosk in Strongsville, and I meet too many different people, different religion, and it's nice to talk to them and tell them about the Christian people in the Holy Land. And actually it's really, sometimes it bothers me, as I told you, like they don't know that there is a Christian people there. And I feel really good when I talk to them and give them more information about where Jesus was born, about the Christian religion, and about the olive wood. I love when some people, they are interested, but they have no chance, probably. They never heard about the Holy Land. Mm-hmm. And some of them, they don't know where is the Holy Land.
Sure. Well, Suher Musleh, we thank you so much for being with us, and God bless you in your work with the Holy Land Gifts, and know of our support, and we thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you for being with us. Have a good day, and God be with you.
Spotlight has been a production of CTNY, the Catholic Television Network of Youngstown. Your program host was Father James Corda.